School activities are meant to be safe and fun. They are events where kids can spend time together and where parents can rest easy knowing that there will likely be at least one adult with an eye on them. Some people love them growing up, and some people hate them. But regardless of how you feel about them, there's one thing that we can all agree on. Not everyone makes it to them. My name is Brianne, and I'm the host and creator of Among the Dirt and Trees, a show where we explore true crime cases that occur out in nature. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the identities of several bodies found in Lake Foss. Back in 2013, a routine training exercise ended up leading police to find several missing persons all at once. We're going to discuss the 3 teenagers that they identified. The year was 1970, and Jimmy Williams was a 16-year-old boy driving a blue 1969 Camaro with a white top. I think we can all agree that this was one lucky kid, though it is unclear if the car belonged to him or his parents. What we do know is that he had it for the night and was given permission to take 2 of his friends to a local football game in the nearby city. The 2 friends were Thomas Rios and Leah Johnson. Thomas was new in town, but he seemed to be getting along just fine. The teens hit the open road, and it's believed that at some point they possibly made a change of plans, but we'll get back to that. Before we dive too far into the details, let's just jump to the end of the story. Or at least what was the end for about 40 years. Jimmy, Thomas, and Leah never made it home that night. In fact, they never made it home at all. To make matters even worse, there was no trace of them. Their iconic car disappeared, and the VIN number never popped up after they went missing. The locals were devastated and no doubt terrified, wondering what had happened to these 3 teenagers, but there was nothing that anyone could do. There weren't any real clues or tips to follow, just one dead end after another. Thomas's family was new to the area, and I'm sure they didn't really want to stay after he disappeared, but they decided to stay just in case he ever came home. But he didn't. The town held a vigil, but the teens were never located. At least not in their time. As you can probably imagine, there were rumors about what happened. People made their guesses and accusations. Anytime teenagers go missing, people always assume that they ran away or got into some kind of trouble. But those rumors were almost laid to rest in 2013. Several decades after the teenagers disappeared, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol decided to participate in a routine training exercise with some new equipment that they received. The equipment was sonar equipment, and they decided that the perfect place to test it was Foss Lake, which was known for its low visibility. They set out, probably expecting to find trash and random odds and ends. So imagine their surprise when they located 2 cars at the bottom of this lake. Now, what I found most shocking about this is that the cars were literally only 12 feet below the surface of the water. That means that you couldn't be far from these cars and bodies at any point in time, which is pretty wild, right? These cars were down there for decades, and presumably no one ever saw or discovered them as far as we know. Kind of. Police sprung into action and sent down a diver who stumbled across a shoe. He didn't think much of it as he reached toward the open vehicle door, but when they hauled the cars out, they had 3 bodies apiece inside of them. Police were fairly certain that the Camaro in the lake was the one from all those years ago, and what they found inside sure seemed to point in that direction. Inside, there were identifying bank cards and even a class ring from the right school. The bodies in that particular vehicle were identified as these 3 missing teens. So, what happened? It's believed that at some point in time, the 3 teenagers decided to skip the football game and go hunting instead. It's unclear if this actually happened, but it might explain the location of the car. The only problem is that no one really knows how they ended up in the lake or what happened. Was the door open because they were trying to escape? Well, some people are not satisfied with the official answer. The official police explanation says that they died from accidental drowning, but not everyone believes this. In fact, Jimmy's brother Gary is convinced that something else happened. He believes that there are more details to this case that would explain what happened to his brother and the 2 friends. Gary referred to the deaths being ruled as drowning as disappointing and said that there are a lot of possibilities that police are simply refusing to explore. He pointed out how the car was positioned in a strange way and that it had clearly taken on damage, but that wasn't the most disturbing thing he brought up. In the 1970s, one of those dead-end tips was an anonymous tip that stated that the car was in the water in a lake. Oklahoma Highway Patrol followed up on the tip, but they failed to find anything. It seems pretty likely that someone knew that the car was out there and possibly knew the truth about what happened, too. To make matters worse, Gary Williams was known to frequent Foss Lake, and he routinely took his boat out there. His brother went missing when he was 12, but well into adulthood, he was closer to him than he ever knew. There may be more to this tale, but it seems unlikely that we'll get answers since police have closed the case. This missing person case ended in the way that you never want them to. But at least the families have some sort of closure now. So, if you want to discuss skipping school activities, classic cars, or the steps to take in order to escape a sinking vehicle, contact me on Twitter or Instagram using the tag @DatPod. Thanks, guys.